freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman, and this is your round 3 recap for this week's Farmers Insurance Open. Joining me to break it all down, it's Greg Ducharme. Greg, welcome.
Welcome, Rick. So I got to ask you first. How was it out there?
It's great. Yeah, Torrey's always great. Torrey's always beautiful. People know it's kind of a weird, awkward spectator course, but it's awesome golf. And Greg, I ran into some First Cut fans out there. Shout out John, young boy,
Nice.
Says he never misses an episode. Come on, we're growing the game here, Greg.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Right there, face to face. That's awesome. Awesome news.
Awesome news. Awesome news for Will Zalatoris, who had himself a day, a 7-under 65, highlighted by an eagle pitch in on number 2 in front of me. I saw that. And then he went out and made 5 more birdies to go bogey free around the South Course. And now, Greg, he is in the final group with 18 holes to go.
I love seeing he's only made 1 bogey on the South Course so far this week. Now, the round to me wasn't perfect. It was great. There's no question about it. And he hit the ball as well as anybody. He was first in strokes gained approach for the day. He had a couple of really shaky putts, missed a couple short ones, which is always the worry with him. But he's in the final group, right there with a great chance to win. And a guy who's hitting the ball like that, who had a nice finish here last year too. That's pretty cool. Pretty good stuff.
Zalatoris has made 2 starts here in the calendar year, and he might look a little bit different. He's put on 15 pounds, which for him, that's like 20% of his body weight, I would imagine. Looking a little bit filled in. It's adding distance. He's hitting the ball 12 yards further, Greg. And on top of that, he added an inch to his driver. So he's kind of trying to change the math for himself a little bit here. And so far, so good, 7 rounds into the year.
Well, it doesn't look like it's hurt him at all. Doing it this way without necessarily a swing change isn't getting stronger for Will Zalatoris is a great move. I would never say that's the wrong thing for him to do. Now, and the reason I say that is you think of players who have chased distance and it hasn't worked out for him. That would be Rory McIlroy, who I think was doing it without a coach and maybe a little more technique. And when he got stronger earlier in his career, it worked out great. When Tiger got stronger, added a little muscle, it worked out great. When Bryson did it, it worked out great. Webb Simpson, on the contrary, he was changing his swing a little bit, and it really affected his iron play. So adding clubhead speed doesn't affect your iron play necessarily. But when you start to change your launch angles and you start to try to hit up on it a little more, it can. Doesn't always, can. And it clearly hasn't for Will Zalatoris. So this is it's looking all positive for him. Again, the big concern is what happens with the putter. And do you trust him down the stretch? I mean, how close does the ball have to be with a putt on 18 for you to feel like he's going to seal the deal?
About 1 foot, I think, is what I would feel comfortable with. And I'm glad you brought that up because we have a great Justin Ray stat here on Will Zalatoris for his 3rd round Friday round. He shot a 65 at the South Course, despite being a negative in strokes gained putting. He's the first to ever do that since tracking began in 2004. So that is another indication that he is reliant on every other part of his game except the putter, and he just needs he needs the putter to keep him alive because the rest of his game has been that good.
When he's about 10 feet, it's probably closer than that. When 8 feet and out, when it looks like a full stroke, it's pretty good. It's when it gets in that really tight range where it gets a little shaky for me, and I get really worried, and it doesn't look great. So that makes me nervous. The thing I like about Zalatoris, not only the iron play, which is great everywhere we go, but what he did in the short game today and what he did in round 1 is, in my opinion, the reason why he's leading. He's perfect on the South Course and scrambling. He's 9 for 9. And I look at winners of this venue, and I think of Mark Leishman. I think of Brandt Snedeker. Jason Day twice, Jon Rahm, Tiger Woods, Patrick Reed, and forgive me if I'm forgetting anybody, but they're all great scramblers. And it's a requirement out here when you miss greens, which really can start from missing fairways. You miss a couple fairways, you're not able to get it on the green, you're forced to scramble, especially tomorrow when the hole locations get a little tougher. So I think that's a welcome sign. But it makes me nervous. The trust factor gets a little lower when I watch him just because of those short putts. It makes me so nervous with that stroke.
Yeah, well, let's talk about one of those past champions that you mentioned. Jason Day has found himself in the final group again at Torrey Pines, thanks to a third round 67. We are going on about 3.5 years, Greg, since his last victory, the 2018 Wells Fargo. This would be kind of a resurgence of sorts if he was able to
Not
close
just
out this victory on Saturday.
Yeah, and in that year 2018 that you mentioned, he won here as well. And that was the last time he kind of felt like that year he was hanging on to it a little bit, and he was able to get the 2 wins, but it didn't feel like it was world number 1 Jason Day the way it did in 16. And so that was a little it was good the start of the downturn, but he was able to win at those 2 difficult venues, largely because of his short game. Now, what we've seen out of Jason Day so far this week is, again, short game's looking really well, but it's been solid play, and the ball striking's been a little bit better, which I think is a welcome sign. He's hit 40 of 54 greens on all 3 courses. He hit 13 round 1 on the South course, hit 14 today, which is great. And he putted really well. He was 7th in strokes gained putting for the day. And then you add to that, you close with 3 straight birdies. And that's a really nice addition. So again, Jason Day, this last group, which I believe Aaron Rai will be in the last group with Will Zalatoris and Jason Day, I have my reservations about. But they've all done something really well, and the performance has been solid, and that's why they're in the final group. It's been impressive. Jason Day loves the golf course, and that's his biggest benefit is his experience here. He's got great memories to draw back on. He's got a great short game and a great putting stroke, which again, he can fall back on that. So we'll see what he can do tee to green, and if that can be enough to win, because with you still have in the group right behind you, you have Justin Thomas and Jon Rahm. I think JT's in that group. He's probably not, actually, looking at the board. It's probably Sung Jae, Cameron Tringale, and Jon Rahm. So again, but still, Justin Thomas just 2 shots back. Those two can be a little concerning. You can have your eye in the rearview mirror with those guys chasing you.
You are correct. Justin Thomas is in the third to last group, not the penultimate group. Aaron Rai will join Day and Will Zalatoris in that final group. Someone, Greg, known probably more for his play on the European Tour, probably known more for his iron covers, but now he can make a name for himself as a PGA Tour winner if everything goes right for him on Saturday.
Yeah, and a nice round for him. He's probably disappointed with the bogey at 16. Which are, look, 16 and 12. He made bogey at 12 as well. 12 is, Nick Faldo says it all the time, one of the hardest holes in the world. It's usually it usually ranks as one of the hardest holes to par in the world. So you're going to make a couple of bogeys out here at the South course, but it was a great round. Gets himself into the final group, gets himself in contention. This is as close as he's been to a lead on the PGA Tour, and at the same time, it's the Farmers Insurance Open. You have Jon Rahm, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson. The list goes on and on of great players in this field, and you're beating them. And it's got to be a big confidence boost for him. So, and the other thing is, Rick, if you saw the putt he hit on the last hole for that was a sweet stroke. It looked great. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this weekend. He hasn't scrambled the way I like to see. He hit 16 of 18 greens today, so you don't have much of a chance to. But that's the question tomorrow. Does that ball striking hold up, or is he forced to lean on the short game? And I'm very curious to see what happens there. But he looked great today.
Yeah, he certainly did. Jon Rahm, even par round of 72, and he is now going to be one shot off the lead. He drove the ball much better on Saturday, Greg, but the short game kind of left him at times. He made a double on number 10. He bogeyed 12, that very difficult hole that you are referring to. Still kind of was able to tread water. He's going to be in the mix. He's going to be right there in contention, just one shot back, but this was not necessarily the round Jon Rahm was looking for.
No, it was not the round he was looking for, and I'm not sure that's a bad thing. He's going to have a great opportunity heading into tomorrow, and I'm not sure that any pressure was relieved, but I do think it's a different state of mind now going into the round. It's almost like the way he came into the tournament. There are high expectations, but for him, he's personally driven. So the pressure is more internal than it is external. When pressure gets higher externally than internally, that's when you have that's when nerves show up but he is hungry. And I just have this feeling he's due for a win, first of all. And he knows it. And there's nobody that wants him to win more than him right now, which sounds so obvious to say, but I look at what Jon Rahm did today, and that's the bad round. And I'm really excited to see what he does tomorrow because I'm kind of expecting a little better. I mean, the wedge shot he hit on 13, missing that green to the right, I don't think he'd be very happy with. There were a couple of shots out there I don't think he's extremely happy with. Even the pitch shot on 18, I don't think he was happy with. And even though it was good, it was really close. It was a good shot. I think he was a little disappointed. So he's leaving this round really hungry and in a great spot, and he has to still be the favorite, in my opinion.
Well, we'll get to the odds in just a second, but I can spoil it for you. He is indeed the favorite to win the Farmers Insurance Open. Justin Thomas had himself a pretty good day, was atop the leaderboard for a few moments, Greg, before making bogey on 15, the hazard on 17. He played back nine and did not card a single birdie on that side. And he's going to start 2 shots back of the leaders who are going to be at 14 under. Justin Thomas at 12 under. Maybe a few moments late in his round that kind of slipped through his fingers that he wish he could have back right now.
Absolutely. But again, just like Jon Rahm, you now go into tomorrow's round hungry. You're in a chase pack. The third to last group is a good place to be on a golf course like this. And when you go out there early, and I know the first hole is really difficult, but let's say you pick off a birdie at 2, you're 1 under through 3, and the leaders tee off and they have a little bit of trouble. You could find yourself in the lead before the 4th hole. So he is in no means out of this event. The thing that I'm looking for tomorrow out of JT is what is going to happen with his driver tomorrow. Is he going to have another one of those rounds where he hits 4 of 14, 5 of 14 fairways? And if he does, because that's very possible, he's not an accurate driver of the ball. But we've seen Mark Leishman win, hitting 3 fairways in the final round. But again, can you do that for 3 of the 4 rounds in the tournament? He hit it great on Friday off the tee, but that's at the North course. It's out of the question right now. So if you're going to play the South course hitting 13 fairways in 3 rounds, is that enough? Or does it put too much stress on the rest of your game? And I wonder if that's kind of what we saw heading down the stretch, a little bit of the stress wear on you. The back 9 has no let up. Again, it played easier today. The golf course played easier today, but in the first 2 rounds, the par 5 13th played over par for a par 5 on the PGA Tour. And that is... that takes away that opportunity that you look at. You play the hardest hole in 12, and it's so hard. You're looking forward to 13 because it's a little easier, but it's not easier. And you have to lay up. It's a tough layup, and it's a tough birdie. It's no gimme. So again, I think he's going to have to drive it a little better. I like what he's done on and around the greens so far this week. Although, I mean, it wasn't necessarily great today. Statistically, but he's gaining on the greens, which is a welcome sign. So look, he's in a great position, but the biggest thing I'm watching for with him tomorrow is the driver.
Yeah, certainly. I want to take a look at the odds and see if we can find some value for who might win the Farmers Insurance Open. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. No surprise, Jon Rahm is plus 250, the favorite, Greg, to win the Farmers Insurance Open. Will Zalatoris right behind at 4-1, Jason Day at 4.5-1, and Justin Thomas at 9-1. Those are just the four shortest odds. This feels, I don't want to say it's wide open, but maybe more wide open than we've had recently. I feel like a lot of times recently, Greg, it's been a one-horse race, a two-horse race. I mean, there were some low scores out on the South Course on Friday. If they pop up again on Saturday, I think there's a lot of names that are still in play.
Could somebody else do what Cam Young did today, right? Is 64 going to be out there tomorrow? Now, the golf course today played under par for the first time all week. Now you have everybody who's here made the cut. So the field has gotten, in essence, stronger, not necessarily based on world rankings, but based on extremely recent form. So, you've gotten rid of some of those really high rounds, some of the players that really just aren't feeling it. But I do also think the whole locations were a little easier, and I don't expect that again tomorrow. So the question is, if the golf course is set up a little more challenging tomorrow, does that benefit chasers or does that benefit leaders? And I struggle with that question because part of me thinks, okay, Dustin Johnson, who's hitting the ball great all week. If he gets hot with the putter, makes a charge, and you see that name, Dustin Johnson, creeping up the leaderboard, and then on the back end, it's difficult enough for the leaders to not really make up ground. And now all of a sudden that chaser wins. So that's my lean. But at the same time, it allows Will Zalatoris to play a smart game. He doesn't have to go flag hunting if it's playing really tough. And that should limit, if he's able to control his speed on those longer putts, it should limit that shaky range for him. And now Will Zalatoris has an advantage. Jon Rahm's going to have an advantage if it's tougher. So it's very interesting to me, but I certainly see why Jon Rahm's the favorite. He would be my pick right now, and he should be the favorite.
It's funny you pulled out Dustin Johnson. I noticed that as well. The metrics are phenomenal for him. He's 33 to 1 to win this event, according to our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook. I'll tell you what, this is the hardest one for me, Greg, because you look at the numbers, you look at the metrics, and this has Will Zalatoris written all over it. He's already in the lead. He's losing strokes putting. He's leading the field not only from tee to green. He's leading it on approach. He's 4-1. All of that is in the spreadsheet, and I know if Mark were here, he'd be hitting me in the head because golf is this is going to be played on the golf course on Saturday, and Zalatoris is going to have to make some putts. So I still think that 4-1 number is interesting, but I think we are going to learn a lot about Will Zalatoris on Saturday.
Yeah, we are, because what's going to happen early on in that round when he gets that first tester, and today what he did a great job of is after. Was it on 13 that really he missed like a 2-foot putt on 13? And I think he missed another one later on in the round, but he bounced back with birdie right away. So, and look, he's been dealing with this far more than we've seen on TV. He has dealt with this in tournaments, in his own rounds, I'm sure in his own practice. And I mean, that's how you end up with arm lock and claw. You're trying to solve a problem when you go down that road. You don't go down that road when you're a great putter. And if you're Xander Schauffele and you try that, you go back. So it's a sign that he's been working on it. So I was really happy to see him bounce back from that today. You just wonder when Sunday comes around and you have your first chance to win a PGA Tour event, and this is by far his best chance. I know he came in second at the Masters. This is by far his best chance. And so that pressure is going to be different tomorrow. But that being said, I love everything he's done. I'm so worried about those short putts. I'm so worried.
Well, we're going to see how it all plays out. Not only will we be back after the final round to do just that, but you can watch the final round coverage on CBS tomorrow. That's Saturday from 4:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we've got you covered from all angles. Big thanks to producer Jacob for doing all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg Ducharme, you can find on Twitter at TheRealGFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.